Hey everybody, welcome to our Saturday at 10 a.m. class. We do have some people joining us live, and if you are catching this recording, just know that when you join us live at Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern, that we give you this script book mini, and we are teaching the classes this year directly from the script book, so you can follow along. There's some great takeaway information in here as well, because let's face it, when we're learning about something new or even something that we may have heard before, there's so much information coming at us that this mini is a great tool to have. And so that is our gift to you when you join us on these Saturday mornings live. So this morning we are talking about CBD, and not just any CBD, but what I believe is truly the best CBD on the market, and that is Young Living's Nature's Ultra CBD. We have it in more products than what I have right here. We have the muscle rub, we have the oil, and then we have what is really beautiful is the calm roller. Okay, so those are what we're going to be talking about. But it's like, okay, so what's the big deal about the product, right? Well, that's what we're gonna do. We're going to share some education with you about CBD and hemp and Young Living, and just to help you make better choices. That's what we're here for. At the end of this class, if you're like, wow, I need Young Living, we can help you out with that. If you're like, I'm good with what I got, you know what? Now that's totally fine too. I really think though, after you hear some things that, especially some of the things that Debbie's going to be teaching us on, you're going to be like, I need Young Living in my life. With that, I'm going to kick it over. My name's Amy. And co-teaching today is Debbie. And so I'm going to kick it over to Debbie right now. So go ahead, Debbie. You need to unmute yourself, friend.
Okay. So today I am so excited to talk about the CBD. It is such a powerful plant and how it impacts our body. And so we're also going to talk about we're going to dispel some of the myths and fears that go with CBD, and answer some questions and compare how this incredible plant of oil affects our human bodies. Our information comes from science research and facts. We're training on Nature's Ultra CBD today, which is infused with Young Living essential oils. And I think this is one of the best CBDs on the market because of the unparalleled authenticity of how it is grown under our seed to seal premium standard, which goes above and beyond most standards. So what can CBD be used for? First question. It may be simpler to answer, what can CBD not be used for? It seems to be a miracle worker. Right now, there are significant studies on CBD for dozens of things, from resting to stress and so much more. If you think it might be for you, I'd encourage you to come to do some research. Simply type in what you're looking for and the word CBD in Google to check out the latest science. The study of CBD is so new that studies are being released by the week that we've never seen before. So that's why that's a good way to do that. Is CBD marijuana? That's always kind of out there. People ask that question. So let's just deal with that elephant in the room right now. The hemp plant is a cousin to the marijuana plant. It's like sweet corn versus field corn. Hemp is the parent plant, and cannabis is the scientific name for that plant. Both hemp and marijuana contain cannabis or CBD. The marijuana plant was hybridized to produce more than 40 times the amount of THC, and that's the chemical that's responsible for getting you high. Hemp has a very low amount of THC. In fact, for CBD to be legal, it must have less than 0.3% THC. Young Living's CBD has 0% THC. That means members of the police or anyone else that has to take a drug test, you don't have to worry about using Young Living's CBD, Ultra Nature CBD, because it has no THC in it. If you've been trained to be afraid of CBD because of the legal climate in the United States, the legal issues of hemp started back in the Marijuana Act of 1937. Where it taxed cannabis. It had nothing to do with the hemp being dangerous. It shifted the mindset of people to think of it as less marijuana because of the same plant. So they were trying to change people's way of thinking. Hemp was used for making paper, clothing, and it was different in a direct competition with certain businesses. The owners therefore set out to make it illegal. Hemp is actually one of the oldest cultivated crops of all times. It's been used in medicine as well as to make ropes, sails, and paper. Its history began back over 6,000 years ago from China to Rome. Even in the United States, early Jamestown settlers observed the Powhatan Indians growing hemp in 1607. Colonial farmers could be fined by the British government if they did not grow hemp because of the British needed it for sales. Even early drafts of the Declaration of Independence were written on paper hemp. So hemp's not the problem. Hemp is actually a plant that produces the phytocannabinoids, which naturally enhance the body's I'm going to get technical here, endocannabinoid system, which is much the same as how essential oils don't cure disease, but that they do aid the body's natural immune system by doing behind the scenes things like helping with cellular communication. So when your soldiers are reinforced, they can do the fighting on their own. Science on the endocannabinoid system, I'm sure I'm botching that, it's just emerging, and we do know more every year. And like I said, every week, so research it. The whole system was not even discovered until the 1990s. It's 30 years after hemp was banned. Hemp could not even be studied in universities because it was grouped with all cannabis species as a Class 1 drug in the Controlled Substance Act of 1970. That equates to cocaine. But if you fast forward to 2014, the US government passed a pilot program through the Farm Bill that would allow hemp to be grown and studied. The permanent language of the Hemp Farming Act of 2018, which falls under the Farm Bill, changed the status of hemp to a Controlled 1 substance to commodity like corn, soybeans, and tobacco. This change is thought to have far-reaching effects on American farmers, and it may dispel the myths linking marijuana to hemp. Many authorities predict the hemp industry will grow by 700%, and hemp will be grown in the Midwest as much as corn. Most Americans within the next 5 years will have at least tried a CBD product, and a high percentage will begin to use it on a regular basis, like they now use multivitamins and supplements to promote their health. By researching and gaining more information on CBD, such as that provided in this lesson that we're talking about here, you are a part of a revolution by taking the fear out of the plant that God made and created for us to use, just like our essential oils. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy and let her continue a little bit with what we're learning.
All right, thanks, Debbie. I appreciate that. I appreciate the history lesson. Of course, I'm a history buff, so I for sure love that aspect of history, right? Okay, so the question, or I guess I should say the statement is that our bodies are ready for CBD. So your body is ready for CBD. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the anatomy. The human body is ready for CBD. God built receptors in our endocannabinoid system to accept CBD. And I had to smile because Debbie and I, our hearts are so into serving others. And sometimes when we're reading these classes, these huge words come at us, and we do our very best. So all the grace, for me especially, I'm sure Debbie is pronouncing them correctly, but all the grace for me when I am pronouncing these. All right, so like I said, God built receptors in our endocannabinoid system to accept CBD. These receptors circulate throughout our body. They are even found in our white blood cells. You can almost think of this you can almost think of the ECS, the endocannabinoid system, like a hormonal system. A woman will tell you her hormones affect not only how she feels, but also her mood, her complexion, energy levels, and digestion. The ECS affects the entire body and is a major contributor to overall balance. That's why you may use CBD for one thing, but find it works on other things you never anticipated. That is because the endocannabinoid system is throughout the entire body. I'm going to interject to something in there, maybe overall balance. So I'm healing and recovering from a traumatic brain injury that I incurred in October of 2020, so almost a year and a half ago. And I cracked my skull right here. And thankfully, there's new bone growth and it's probably all healed at this point. But there are some days that it throbs. So anybody with a broken bone, this is my first broken bone. I guess if you're going to break a bone, break your skull bone, right? But there are some days it throbs for various reasons. And I will literally lift my hair up and rub the CBD Calm on that to just relax that area. And I guess what made me think of sharing that right now is about that overall balance. Not that when this throbs, my balance is affected, but but let's face it, when we are stressed out or our attention gets distracted or XYZ, you know what, we are in balance. And I'm not necessarily saying we are walking correctly, but I'm just saying we're not focused on what we want to be focused on. The stressors that come at us, a child being sick, aging parents, work, and then work. And so that overall balance could actually, in my mind, kind of go a couple different places. So why use CBD? Why use CBD over other products? In a sentence, CBD is a plant. Debbie gave us a great history lesson on that. It's a non-surgical, drug-free approach. Dr. Mark Lidholm, who has practiced as a chiropractor for 25 years, says, I believe patients should seek natural remedies first, drugs as a second approach, and surgery as a last resort. I actually am totally in line with that. And Debbie's over there nodding her head as well. We are all in line with that. Sometimes medication is necessary, but the general public is starting to understand that every drug has side effects. The fewer drugs you take, the better off you are. I also believe in exploring other avenues. I've been using and recommending supplements to my patients for more than 2 decades, and I've seen incredible results, but nothing compared to the astounding results I began to see after my patients start taking CBD. But this is new. This is the first time I've read this. So this is like, this is good to know. It was life-changing. I'm still reading this from Dr. Mark Lidholm. It was life-changing for many of them. Some noticed results after a week. Many patients experienced the maximum benefit after 2 to 3 months. I've often recommended the product for one problem, only to find they would notice improvements in their overall health too. In other words, they experienced side benefits instead of side effects, which to me, that is extremely powerful. That is actually my heart, and I'm pretty confident to be like, that is definitely in line with Debbie and her philosophy. And so it is about like, what can I do naturally to help some, what can I do naturally to help myself as opposed to immediately going to a drug that has all these side effects? Debbie, I'm so sorry, I'm going to get on the soapbox for just a second. But about 15 years ago, I was listening to this country station, and every morning they have the same commercials, right? And there was this commercial about a drug people could take if they did shift work. So by that, I mean like factory work, where they're working, the first shift, second shift, third shift. And people who probably work second and third shift, they may not be sleeping as well. So is this drug to help you if you do shift work? And they listed all the side effects. After the first day, you're kind of like, whatever. By the third and fourth day, you're listening to these side effects, and I'm thinking, these are horrendous. And one of them was, you might have insomnia. They probably already have insomnia. Why are they? Anyway, so pay attention to, I am not saying medication is bad. I'm just saying be mindful, open your eyes, look at the side effects. I'm trying to stay kind and compliant. This is just my heart. You know, this is, anyway, I'll go back to the script. You're welcome. Okay, so how safe is CBD? A June 2017 literature review looked at 74 total studies on the safety of CBD and gave promising results. The biggest side effects noted, here I'm talking about side effects. Here's the biggest side effects: drowsiness and slight changes in weight and appetite. So Debbie talked about, is marijuana and CBD the same? So the question is, will I get high and will I become a stoner? Again, CBD is not the same as marijuana. There's no THC in Young Living CBD. In November 2017, the World Health Organization published a report on CBD at a meeting held by their expert committee on drug dependence. The WHO keeps an eye on more than 3 billion people around the world. Sorry, okay. In all that documentation, the committee claimed that there had not been a single case globally of physical dependence or withdrawal symptoms from CBD, nor any reported cases of abuse or public health problems related to the use of CBD. That's pretty huge. I mean, 3 billion people is roughly half the population. I think there's like almost 7 billion people on the globe now. So that's a pretty huge testimony. And I mean, the World Health Organization is viewed globally as having some expert opinion on this matter. So that's a pretty powerful position. All right. Hemp has passed the test of time. Some of the earliest written evidence of its medicinal uses comes from ancient China, where it was administered to the emperor in 2737 BC, before Christ. 77 AD, there are records of the Romans using it as medicine. It was popular in the Middle East and India, and where it was considered sacred and used for centuries. This, along with contemporary research, adds to the to the safety of hemp. So, can I get addicted or overdose? And these are great questions. And so, Current Drug Safety is a reputable journal with articles published on dozens of scientific sites like PubMed.com. It's used by doctors and researchers around the globe. They published a report that proves CBD to be formulated without toxins. According to the article, even doses of up to 1,500 milligrams a day, about 90 times the amount a doctor would recommend, were well tolerated in humans. Now, we do not recommend you take 90 times a dose of anything. However, it is a sensible statement that the body will take what it wants and flush the rest out. We see that with other supplements, like with our Super C, our Super B, or vitamin Bs and vitamin Ds, vitamin Bs and vitamin Cs, that what your body doesn't need, it will flush out. So our body is, y'all, our body is way smarter than we give it credit for. We just need to understand what works for our body, which is why we like to teach these classes, to help us understand our body better and understand what we need to be doing to help our body do what it was designed to do. Okay. The reason CBD doesn't cause a high is because it interacts differently with the receptors in your brain than THC does. THC attaches itself to these receptors known as CB1 and CB2 receptors. When you consume THC, you may experience physical changes, such as those in coordination, and mental changes, such as those in your mood. You can't have these type of reactions with non-THC CBD because the chemical response for mind-altering reactions is not present. So that answers the question, is like, can you get addicted? Are you going to get high? Are you going to overdose? The CBD that we are talking about today doesn't have THC. THC is that element that's, when we talk about getting high or becoming a stoner or overdosing or addicted, Young Living CBD doesn't have those. So who made the plants? I mean, let's face it, we've said, Debbie's talked about it, I've talked about it. Hemp is a plant. So who's made these plants? So do you find yourself concerned after looking at the World Health Organization, the doctor's testimonies, a reputable journey, and science? You are not alone. It's because of how we've been programmed to understand this type of plant. Let me put CBD this way. Let me put CBD this way. Are you afraid to use CBD, but not peppermint or oregano, which also have no THC? This is what you want to think about. Who made the plants? Who gets the credit? Debbie and I are both believers in our Lord Jesus. And so we stand on the truth of the Bible. And in Revelations 22:2, it says, the leaves of the plants are for the healing of the nations. So we do not fear the plants. The constituents in peppermint cool you off. The constituents in CBD affect change in the body. Okay, so how much do I take and when? All right, let's shift gears and let's talk about dosage. For this, there is no easy answer because everyone is different. Factors like weight, height, diet, metabolism, genetics, environment, and lifestyle will affect your optimal CBD dosage. There's no universal dose. The YLs, Young Living CBDs, which is Nature's Ultra, comes with a dropper. So our CBD oil comes with a dropper. I actually have 5. The strength on this is 500. We actually have one that's 1,000. I use the 100. This is actually an empty one, but it comes with a dropper. This is where I'll just interject real quick. I've been to classes where I know people have taken this for pain because of being an older person and they were athletes in their youth. And so they're taking way more than, let's say, little old me who is just taking it for other reasons. But I'll have to admit, I have to look at my notes, but I think it was either November or December of 2020, I started doing a full dropper every day for months to help with my brain injury. I was really mindful of fueling and feeding my brain while it was healing from a TBI and continues to heal from that. And I was doing a full dropper of CBD. And so it's definitely a conversation that, I mean, Debbie and I are not medical experts, so we cannot treat, diagnose, nor cure. We can definitely have conversations with you and share our testimony on how much we use and why we're using, hear you out and talk about it to help you make an informed decision. Experts do recommend that you start with a half a dropper twice a day. So again, a half a dropper twice a day. Separate each dose by 12 hours to achieve a 24-hour saturation in your body. CBD does need to build in the body, so it may take several weeks before you see a shift. With the muscle rub, you apply it topically. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, and same with the CBD roller. And Debbie, I know, her and I both love the CBD rub. So I'll let her share her testimony on that as well. So with that, I'm going to kick it back over to Miss Debbie.
There we go. Thank you, Amy. I'm going to share a little bit about, I think we've pretty much established that Young Living CBD is not made the same as other CBDs, and our standards are definitely higher than most. That is our seed to seal, which is for all of our oils. One of the things that I've been amazed at is, as with all things Young Living, if I go to buy an essential oil and I see some on the, if I'm walking through, big box store and I see it on the shelf and it says 100% essential oil, to be able to claim that, there only has to be 5% essential oil in that bottle for them to claim 100% essential oil. Young Livings are 100% essential oil, and their standards for essential oils are the same. It's the same for the CBD as it is for the essential oils. So I think that's one of the reasons that I like it, like Young Livings. There's no chemicals and no pesticides. I mean, part of the reason we're using CBD oils and the CBD rub is to make sure that those we aren't getting extra toxins and extra chemicals. We're trying to get those out of our system, not bring them in. And so that's one thing. Young Living does not use any chemicals or pesticides on their fields. They take the, after they've distilled the plants, the plant matter that is left, they go use it as fertilizer and insecticides on the fields, depending on what they've just distilled. So they also have third-party testing done. And these are all things that U.S. Organic standards don't require. So you see organic, read your labels, people, and know your farmers. Know your farm and where you're getting products. And that's why Young Living is so important. Our products, you can go visit any farm. And you can just show up unannounced and you're welcome to go view and see what they're doing and how it's done. You can't do that with other farms. You can't do that. Places that use other places use the chemicals and the fertilizers on their plants. Young Living does not. And my testimony, as far as CBD rub, I actually use the rub and the oil together almost always. And I will take the rub. I have a lot of lower back issues, and which most of us moms do. And so I will rub it on my back if that's what's hurting. I also have some injuries that I'm dealing with. Like Amy said, I abused my body when I was younger through sports and athletics, and I'm paying for it now. So I will use the CBD rub on those spots because they hurt. And then I also take a dropper of the oil and I put it under my tongue. And I will do that. And it's amazing. They are both amazing products for how quickly they help. So I use the two together. And I do use the 500 milligram oil. That's works for me. So that would be all I'm going to say on this part is know where your products come from. Read the labels. I don't care if you're buying food or if you're buying, the oils or whatever. You take it and flip it over and read what it says, because if there's things in there you don't want, or things you can't pronounce, you want simple ingredients. You don't want to buy things you can't pronounce or you don't know what they are. You want to be able to turn it over. Oh, look, my peanut butter has peanuts in it. Maybe a little salt. That's it. That's the kind of things you want to look for. You want to look for pure and simple, and Young Living products are that. There's no additives. There's no anything on the grounds. And that's why I think the Nature's Ultra CBD muscle rub and the oils work with no side effects whatsoever, except those that, were mentioned earlier, where you might have an issue with not being as hungry or not being, or losing some weight because you're not eating as much. Those are bad side effects. Those are the side effects we actually kind of want. So yes, that is going to wrap up my bit here. CBD, Nature's Ultra is awesome. I've had wonderful results with it. Thank you. Back to you, Amy.
All right. Thanks, Ms. Debbie. And so I think between Debbie and I, we've talked about these 3 different products that we have that actually come in our starter kit. So we're going to do a quick screen share because Debbie knows how much I love to do screen shares. And so we've got the best way to get your to get these products, if you aren't currently a Young Living member, is through a starter bundle, because you're going to save money. And I am all about saving money. And so that's why I'm showing you this picture of the starter bundles. And if you'll notice on the left-hand side, you'll see it says 300, 500 milligrams. That is for our regular strength. And then on the right is the extra strength. And Debbie and I were talking about the regular strength. This is what we've used, and this is what has worked for us. Now, if you are thinking, that that's actually what I would I would try. I would start with that, in part because it's a $165 investment as opposed to a $250 investment. But if you're like, hey, I've used CBD before, I'm familiar with it, I'm comfortable with Young Living, or you're currently a Young Living member and you already have a history of the kind of quality we have, then go for using the extra strength and getting the one that's 250. But you'll get all three of those products. And that will get you started. And like I said, that is for, I wanted to show that for people who especially are not currently a member with Young Living, that is a great way to get started. Bundles are always a great way to get started, especially when they're ones that Young Living comes up with because they are a discounted price. And you also will get free shipping, and that will also unlock your discount, and you'll get a 24% discount for the next 12 months. So it's a really powerful purchase. Because you're getting these amazing products in your hot little hands. And it's really about like, what do you have going on in your body that CBD is going to help you and also give you side benefits as opposed to side effects. And when you do sign up, either with me or Miss Debbie, sign up on our team, we have free ebooks because they're ebooks, they're electronic. I don't have anything physical to show you, but remember, when you join us live on these classes, we will gift you this. And this is a great resource to have in your hot little hands. And then when you invite your friends, obviously they get this as well. But when you join our team, we do give you 2 free ebooks to help you get started, because it's, you know what, your wellness is, you know what, without your health and your wellness, what do you have? And someone who has survived a TBI and living on the other side of it, I have a way deeper and way greater appreciation for the people around me, as well as for my health and wellness. So we are here to serve you. There will be links on how to get started. There will be, reach out to us. We are here to serve you. And as always, thank you for your time this morning. Me and Debbie will see you next month. I know, isn't that funny to say that? Where our theme for next month is about the body. We're super excited about that one. We've got a great oil of the month for that, as well as a great challenge for us. So thank you guys, and we'll talk to you next month.